Good morning to all, and thank you all for being here. I'd like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. My name is Norma Gonzalez. I teach Mexican American Studies for the department here in Tucson Unified School District.
My name is Curtis Acosta. I teach Chicano Latino literature at Tucson High Magnet School.
I'm Maria Federico Brummer. I teach at Tucson High and Palo Verde High School through the Mexican American Studies department.
I'm Alejandro Escamilla. I teach at Wakefield Middle School with the Mexican American Studies department.
I'm Sean Arce. I'm the director of Mexican American Studies.
My name is Lorenzo Lopez. I teach at Choya High School, Chicano Studies.
My name is Sally Rusk. I teach at Pueblo High School, Chicano Studies and American Government.
Yolanda Sotelo. I teach at Pueblo High School, Chicano literature, senior Latino literature.
My name is Jose Gonzalez, and I teach at Rincon and at Tucson High, and I teach American Government Social Justice Education Project.
Okay, so again, thank you all for being here. And we teachers are here this morning in a state of indignation and disgust against our own board and our superintendent's action, discriminatory actions, to eliminate a program that effectively closes the achievement gap. The Latino dropout rate, as we like to call it, the push-out rate, should be a national crisis. And we think so. So we effectively address it. Mark Stegman, with the help and support of Dr. Petticone, has crafted a unilateral power plan in the form of a resolution that will be voted on this Tuesday. This unilateral power plan seeks to terminate the MAS program, which prior to Stegman and Petticone has had the board's support. The resolution is rife with backhanded compliments and bold misrepresentations, which will be addressed here, of this program. By sugarcoating the real intent of the resolution with a few nice phrases, Mr. Stegman is hoping to sway the rest of the board into making MAS classes elective. Of course, that will not just dilute, but actually destroy the program. We will not go back to the 1920s and 30s. We are here today to put a few of the most egregious claims of this politically motivated unilateral power plan in the form of a resolution to rest.
The resolution claims, for example, that $1 million is what the Mexican American Studies Department gets in funding every year. This is not correct. Actuality, we get $679,610 per school year. Compare this to the hundreds of thousands that TUSD Central Administration takes in enormous pay. For example, close to $200,000 from DSEG money is spent on the salaries of Central Administration. That includes 4 positions. Over $800,000 was spent from the DSEG budget on UHS, which only has 168 Latino students. Over the past 30 years, TUSD has squandered over $4 billion in DSEG money. And what do we have to show for it? Nothing. The MAS is funded entirely by desegregation money, representing only 1% of that budget. Desegregation dollars are the only portion of the desegregation fund that actually close the achievement gap, which it was set up in the first place to do. We also provide additional help to students from other minority groups. And Tucson's largest student minority population is Latinos and Latinas. Other desegregation money has been used to fund marching band uniforms, the Tucson High football field, maintenance staff, and numerous administrators. How can this be defended is what we're trying to ask here.
The basis for this resolution is premised on a fabrication of huge proportions. Mr. Stegman claims that Mexican American Studies graduates only 10 more pupils per year than the district average. Therefore, if the classes don't exist, these students should be graduating at the same rate as the district. The fact is that Latinos graduate at the second lowest rate of any ethnic group in the United States. Historically, TUSD has done no better than the national average, with the exception of the Mexican American Studies program. Even if one accepts this ridiculous figure of 10 extra graduates per year, how many graduates were produced by band uniforms, football fields, administration and maintenance staff, all of which is funded by the same desegregation money as the Mexican American Studies program, but at a much higher cost. Additionally, the resolution originally claimed that Mexican American Studies class sizes were roughly half that of other TUSD class sizes. They are in fact virtually identical. Average Mexican American Studies class sizes average 26.7 students, whereas traditional average class sizes are 27.3 students. Advanced placement classes and honors classes have fewer students than Mexican American Studies courses. My class at Tucson High, personally, we have 44 students, and it's based on student demand. That's how we get our class sizes. Where's the scrutiny on these programs?
Why regressing to elective status is not an answer for our children. Dr. Stegman recently visited one of my Chicana literature classes and observed a typical day in our Mexican American Studies courses, and upon completion of the class, I asked him about his experience. He told me then, and has since repeated it on numerous occasions, that he enjoyed the class and found the students to be excited and engaged as they studied the literature. I then asked him that if he believes our classes are so good, why did he want to mess with them? Then he looked at me in my eyes and said that he's not. With all due respect, Dr. Stegman, this resolution cannot be viewed in any other way than the dismantling of the program that has proved to be excellent for our children for many years. I'm sorry, sir, but that is messing with them. What Dr. Stegman is proposing by insisting on stripping the core curriculum status of Mexican American history and literature is to treat students that want to study such material as second-class citizens. It is a simple case to make. Students that desire to continue to take our rigorous curriculum that meets the state standards will now have to do so at the expense of taking other electives. In other words, students will have to sacrifice art, mariachi, dance, acting, and so on in order to add another history or English class to their schedule. These students, many of whom are Latino, will have redundant classes and less opportunity to have a diverse and enriching school experience, since they will have 2 history classes and possibly 2 English classes as well. By contrast, our school district offers AP European History as a core history class, and Dr. Stegman makes no mention of removing the graduation credit toward history from this class. Thus, students that desire to learn about European history do not have to sacrifice their precious elective classes to do so, and will receive a far more diverse academic experience than their classmates that desire to take Mexican American Studies. Why should one student be allowed to take a course about the history of one set of people and be free to enhance their academic experience with whatever electives they choose, and yet another student not be allowed to do the same? This is discriminatory, damaging, and Dr. Stegman's mission for our district. Where is the consistency and equality in his approaches to these classes? Both histories and both classes are equally valuable and should be options for parents and students in deciding which history class to take in order to fulfill their graduation requirements. But this is not the case for Dr. Stegman, who wants to control such options for parents and students through this resolution and remove the freedom to choose which academic path is more suited for their interests and future. This is blatantly unjust, and Dr. Stegman cannot claim ignorance, since in his visit to my class on March 25th, I asked him if he intended to remove the core credit from AP European History. As a result of this biased and discriminatory resolution, I believe he has offered his answer. Do we dare teach this lesson to our students and children, that one people's experience is more valuable than another? If we are truly the country that we say we are, that we dream to be, then how can we stand by and entertain such an obvious regression in the way we view the contributions, art, history of Mexican Americans in our country? We reject that premise and Dr. Stegman's ill-conceived malicious resolution. His veiled personal attacks to our character and professionalism in his recent opinion pieces to the Star and this very resolution are one thing. But this direct assault to one American experience and the educational opportunities for our children must be challenged and condemned. And it is extremely disappointing that Dr. Petticone has stood by silently concerning his stance on the elective issue while our students, his students, and this community face this discriminatory action. This is the time for courage and strong leadership and not silence. Yeah.
All of the misrepresentations of the facts in this resolution add up to a politically motivated attempt to kill the MAS department program without justification or public input before the end of the school year. Even as the resolution goes to the school board, State Superintendent of Public Instruction John Huppenthal is conducting an in-class investigation of the MAS curriculum. MAS remains the only TUSD program that addresses the achievement gap for Latino students. The district's own statistics show the effectiveness of the MAS success. As class statistics from all over the district show, each year coming will have a higher percentage of Latino students. Given these changing demographics, it is absurd to endanger the MAS program. We call upon the media and the public to investigate this unjust attack and stop this resolution in its tracks. Thank you.
If there are any questions, now would be a time that we could answer them for you.
We'd like to say that we encourage the media to look at Dr. Stegman's resolution, and again, what he has to offer is not a viable solution. I mean, if he's going to replace our classes, what other program in TUSD, and I'll go even further, in the United States of America addresses the achievement gap, right? There is none. There is none. He wants us to go back to the 1920s and 30s, and that's not a viable solution for us. You know, we're tired of having politicians tell us professionals how to conduct and how to teach kids, and specifically the community that we serve. All right, ask him. I encourage you to ask Dr. Stegman. He's here. Ask him what program addresses the achievement gap. What are you going to put in place? And there is none. There is none. Right? We address the achievement gap. We stop that achievement gap. And whether you use Dr. Petticone's numbers or Mr. Arce's numbers, we stop that achievement gap. He has nothing to offer.
We urge the media to ask those courageous questions. Why? Why these attacks? Why are they coming? The state's pulled back from their attacks upon our classes, upon our department. It's incumbent upon you, journalists, to ask those tough questions. Why? What motivates you? What's pushing this attack? We'd like to know.
And unfortunately, as well, Dr. Petticone has only met with us as teachers on 2 occasions. One was January 3rd after Attorney General Horn, his original findings that found us in violation that have since been either suspended or put aside by the state themselves in order for John Huppenthal's audit to move forward. And then the other time, so that was January 3rd. And this is a very topical issue, but the next time that Dr. Petticone reached out to us as a collective, as a community of teachers, was right before, it was late March. It was right before the audit that the district and the state were about to perform to let us know. There's been no communication. There's been no specifics, some clarity about Dr. Petticone's view about our classes, about the elective issue, about how he feels about what we're doing together. None at all. And one may question that as a leadership style. I'm sure there's plenty of your viewers out there that would wonder if there was a state investigation upon their workplace and upon what they're doing, they'd expect their boss to talk to them once in a while about it if they wanted to come together and do something that's right for the students, especially in this case where our place of business is is with children of Tucson. And that has not happened, and it's been extremely disappointing. And it's one more thing to add, because the Daily Star ran an editorial today that was a bit misleading, because it sounds like we're making a compromise that's fair to everyone. I asked my students in my 3 classes whether or not they would take these classes as electives. And I have classes like Maria spoke to, that we have upwards of 30 students or more in our classes, and about 2 to 5 hands would go up per class period. So regardless, it seems like we're being dismissed. All of us are career educators. I started teaching in this district when I was 23, and that is not that's not an atypical scenario here. We are all lifelong TUSD employees and teachers in this community. We believe in what we do. We go every day to work with our children because it's what we believe in. It's what we love. And yet, no conversations with Dr. Stegman have embraced our experience, embraced our opinion, and embraced the actual, the experience of the students that I just told you. They won't take it, and not because they don't want to, but because of the redundancy that I spoke about earlier. They shouldn't have to. That should be the question. They shouldn't have to.
We all have. I'm a parent, right? And I'm a parent of a TUSD boy, and he attends Davis. And I want to say, and there's a number of us here. We live here. I graduated from Troy in 1982. I have a vested interest here. And we're not here, and I know people have thrown out that we're just trying to save our jobs. We have a job. We have a job. I've been teaching for 20 years, right? But what we tell our students when they leave on a daily, do the right thing. This is us trying to do the right thing. I want to make sure that my son, when he graduates from Tucson High, he has the ability or the choice to choose American history from a Chicano perspective, American history from an African American perspective, or American history from a Native American perspective, or possibly the traditional American history. Dr. Stegman is trying to take that away. When I graduated in 1982, I didn't have that option. We didn't have that option. And we are not going to tolerate politicians telling us as parents, how we need to raise our kids. We live in this district. We have kids. All of us in here have kids. Most of us have kids in here. We are, as my compadre said, we have a vested interest in here. And it's not about saving our jobs. It's about doing the right thing. You want to look at what separates and segregates kids? Go look at the ELL program. I got a kid at Rincon High School. She's having to take 4 or 5, 6 classes outside of that, outside of Rincon High School, outside of Rincon High School to graduate on time. Olivia has to do this. These other kids are coming back. ELL students are coming back for a 5th, a 6th year, right? Now, if you know history, and most Americans don't, right? This happened to us. This was known as a 1C program, and I encourage you all all you journalists to look into the 1C program, all right? Because what we've done, we've repeated history again. We have now gone back to the 1960s. All right, the 1C program, 1C. Thank you.